Namaskar, very warm welcome to friends here in the Indian Embassy and also friends who are connected with this program virtually. This is a new initiative of ours. This is primarily focused on uh, incentivizing and catalyzing new thoughts in the student community. We are very happy to see the rapid growth of a number of Indian students who are coming to Ireland for higher studies. And most of the Indian students who come, they eventually get job in Irish multinational companies, or there's many of them after spending some year, they go to some other country, go back to India. But one area which is very interesting to us is the very vibrant ecosystem of innovation and research that we have in Ireland. Ireland has very nice cutting edge universities. Also, universities are specializing in their own specialized niche areas of professional sectors. There is a very interesting link between university and academia, and the supporting enabling environment for research and development and seed funding and mentorship. So I think this is a good time for us to start engagement at the earlier stage rather than when you finish your job, finish your studies, then thinking about what to do next. It's good to start thinking, brainstorming as early as possible. And we see a trend in last 2 years. I have seen that there is a like great interest on the part of Indian origin entrepreneurs and also students to not just remain as employees, but become employers and have their own company, their own setup, their own startup. Uh, and it's not easy. It's not a somebody can give you on a silver plate or feed you in a silver spoon. It requires a lot of effort. It requires planning and also uh, not a guarantee for success. It's good to think, and that is why we are very grateful to have friends like Ms. Das, who has kindly agreed to share her story so that young students get to know what goes on in the mind of a successful startup entrepreneur. So please feel free to follow up after this discussion, either through Bessie or through Ms. Ask contacts directly. And we look forward to catalyze through these kind of interactions more brainstorming among the Indian community and Indian origin entrepreneurs, and also hopefully with a similar ecosystem in India. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. First of all, good evening to everyone who has joined online and also who is here. I would like to first thank Indian Embassy, His Excellency Akhilesh Mishra Sir, Murugrad Sir for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share my story. And I'm deeply humbled to be here today. One of the reasons is it wasn't very long ago I was sitting where everybody is sitting here right now. I came here as a student for pursuing my master's, and it's been a journey. Yes, absolutely. And I would like to echo what Sir just mentioned, that community is key. I would say we have to leverage the community that we have here, and we have a very strong community. I mean, now more than ever, like the synergy that I see between different areas, be it IT, be it healthcare, but people coming together and helping each other is really what is making us as a community extremely strong. And I would encourage everybody to leverage this community and the spirit of community between us. Mm-hmm. So having said that, I will just start. I have a few slides, I suppose, just to kind of bind my story and help me to tell you how I started. I'm originally from West Bengal, from a very small city called Durgapur. Mm. So my father was actually posted there. They still live there. And he's a mechanical engineer. He did his engineering from National Institute of Technology. Mm. And I think that was the reason that we were in Durgapur, because it's an industrial town. And it definitely had its own flavors in terms of it was being, even though it was in Bengal, I think Durgapur is a very special city because people from all over the country used to come here. So I think my growing up, my formative years had a great influence from a huge diversity that I experienced growing up. And one of the other things was, in general, in my family and also my surroundings, had a very strong inclination towards academia. So, I suppose the reason for that was because there were a lot of really accomplished engineers and doctors who were part of that small town, or Durgapur as a city now. So that's where I started really. And I grew up there. I did my high school, and then I moved to Chennai. So I left everybody in West Bengal, my family, and I moved to Chennai to pursue engineering. So I did genetic engineering. Now there is a story here, and I wanted to do medicine. And that's what was on set in my mind when I was doing my high school, that I want to go for medicine. But then deep down, I really knew that I'm that kind of a person who always looks for challenges in terms of doing something disruptive and different. So I conveyed that to my parents, and they were very open-minded. I have to thank them on this occasion for being such supportive parents and really propelling me in the direction that I wanted. Not something that, was the stereotype or like, the status quo that go for engineering or medicine. They were like, okay, so what do you want to do? So I found a course called genetic engineering, which was not at all mainstream back in 2010, around that time. So I found the course and I told that, oh, this is in Chennai and it's very far from home. But I really think that that particular course is something which will help me to open my mind to new opportunities. And they believed in me and they sent me to Chennai. And I did my engineering there. Those 4 years were amazing because, again, it was a complete cultural shift for me, from a culture perspective, but also like food, people, friends. And I did it in SRM, which is a very, very, again, it's one of those universities which tracks students from different parts of India. So I got again an opportunity to mix with them, but also at the same point of time, I was exposed to the whole world of research in genomics and molecular biology and real-time research as well, because we used to do a lot of internships. And I think that was very fascinating for me. And I decided that I will spend the rest of my life doing research or being in that domain in general. Once I finished my degree, I worked for a year in a premium national institute. It's called NIBMG, which is National Institute of Biomedical Genomics. Again, very focused on research, and I was preparing to come to abroad, not specifically Ireland. Again, that is important because I know there are a lot of students here who decided, but I was kind of keeping my options open in terms of whether I want to come to US or UK. I was deciding that, and I'm sure not very a few years back, possibly you were at the same situation. So I was also doing the same thing. And sorry, can we go to the next slide? Yeah. And Ireland was something which I stumbled upon coincidentally. Like I was looking at universities which was offering genomic medicine or molecular biology or molecular medicine, and Trinity happened to offer this fantastic course, which I felt will be perfect for my profile and what I wanted to do next. And I came to Ireland. Sorry, can we go back to the previous slide? And I think when almost 10 years back, when I moved to Ireland, I definitely, as a person, I like to embrace new cultures because I've already done that. Like in my early 20s, I had already met so many people, and like I was doing that during my engineering and even growing up. But I think in Ireland, I got another opportunity to embrace the Irish culture, which has so much to offer. And I definitely have gotten that welcoming nature of Irish people in general, but also the other the diverse ecosystem that Ireland hosts as a country. I was exposed to that, and I definitely embraced it. And while I was doing that, I think it again opened my mind to a lot of new opportunities. And my whole trajectory of doing a PhD and research kind of changed, and I shifted into industry. And I transitioned from academia to industry, which was a big transition because I'd never worked before that, and I was directly getting into a job which I'd never done before. So the next slide, please. So taking a step back again, in life in general, I think we all think that as we grow up with time, our growth graph kind of goes in that exponential phase. But actually, next, sorry, it is like that. It is definitely like that. Won't you agree? And and at every phase, like when I was thinking that, oh, life will get a bit easier, like, when I finished my 10th or 12th or my engineering, I was like, things will get better now. But no, life always throws a curveball at you, and it kind of ends up looking something like that. So in my life, I found there were three things which actually helped me to navigate those topsy-turvy situations in so far. And I think one of them was to really think about long-term goals. I did ask myself that, do I see myself working in research or not working on application-based genomics for the rest of my life? And the answer was no. I was like, okay, I have done research, I understand what is the importance of it, what are the basics of it, but I really need to work on the application side of it. And that's when I decided to go into industry. That's what motivated me. So I think that is something which really helped me to kind of keep going on and having a long-term vision that where do I really see myself in 10 to 20 years? And that kind of helped me to make certain decisions. Next slide. Now, this is a great image because I go back to this again and again. So I, as a person, I do have a propensity to take risks in life by making those choices, constantly putting myself into uncomfortable situations, going out of my comfort zone and doing things which others might not pick up immediately. Maybe being the black sheep in the herd, but a lot of times I feel that opportunity can seem like risk, and it's a fair assumption because obviously when you look at something which is risky, immediately you start thinking that what are the reasons why I shouldn't do it, rather than jumping into the conclusion why should I do it, and that's a fair assumption, of course. I totally agree with that, but I think for me I have created this very simple metric. It's on a scale of 1 to 10. So if I see a risk or an opportunity in this case, which is between 1 and 4, for me, it's a no-brainer. I will immediately see that whether it is aligning with my long-term vision or not. And if it is, I'll take it. Because then you're kind of limiting your procrastinations for bigger things, and you're not doing it constantly. Otherwise, sometimes I feel that you can be stuck in a loop that should I do it or should I not do it? Something which is maybe between 4 and 8 on that metric scale, I would get guidance from my mentors. And yes, mentors are very, very important. And I would like to emphasize on that fact that please get mentors. And not like just mentors that you're getting like in a buddy system in your corporate job. That is also good. Sometimes you do come across great mentors. But look for mentors who are really interested in propelling you in the direction that is correct for you. And that is very important because I have found some excellent mentors in my life. Even now, as I'm doing my entrepreneur journey, I have mentors whom I ask from now and again, time and again, that, do you think I should do this? If not, why not? Ask that, why not? Or why yes? So if the risk or opportunity is between 4 to 8, I do take advice from my mentors. I go back to my parents as well because I think they are very strategic thinkers and they have guided me for the first half of my life. So I always go back to them as well. That what do you think? So parents and family is also important, and they will always look out for you. And you maintain that connection, of course. And then if it's 8 to 10, I think that is the place where it's possibly very high risk. The way I deal with it, I go with my intuition, because that is a fail-safe situation where you go with your intuition and you really, if you see yourself doing it, you'll do it. And if you don't see yourself doing it, don't do it. So this is a very simple way how I approach risk and opportunity. But I do feel that some of the most wonderful opportunities that comes to us can have a little bit of a risk. And if you hear, I'm not going to be preachy, but if you hear a lot of really successful entrepreneurs, they always talk about taking risk. So yes, I always look out for that. So next slide. Now, I think that is the theme of today's event. So I have a very simple slide there, but I think what I'm trying to say here is startup land. When I say that, what I mean by that is when I started out, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Never, ever crossed my mind. Always knew I was going to be in research, in some Ivy League university in US, doing something there and going in the direction of academia. But then I took those opportunities and I moved and I changed and I worked in multiple sectors, not just maybe in pharmaceutical or medical devices. I was constantly pushing myself and I was looking out that what is out there. And it helped me to really meet very smart and interesting people. But also the most important thing is while I was working, and I must say that majority of my first few employments were in startups. So I worked in startups. And that really helped me to see a lot of gaps as well, which they are trying to solve. And maybe there are so many gaps which they won't be able to solve because it's a huge playground and people are trying to solve slices of problems. So that's when I really understood that how a startup works. So it's not all roses. It's not all about the awards. It's not all about the features that happens on publications, but the hard work is insanely difficult. And I did not have a title when I was in those startups. We had to work on everything. And now that I run my own startup, I see the same. You have to throw yourself again into things which you haven't done before. I was working for a medtech startup, and suddenly I was asked to look at R&D. One day I was asked to look at quality. One day I was asked to talk to a sales team, which was based in Germany. I didn't speak their language. They didn't understand English very well. So I had to basically Google Translate everything that I was doing. So I was constantly, so what I'm trying to say is like, I think that's part of that journey. And the more you do that to yourself, the more you're testing yourself that, to what limits you can go to make better out of your situation. And sorry, we'll just go back. Talking about startup land. So coming from my own background, I think the problem that we are trying to solve, and I'm going to speak a little bit about it later, I have seen it firsthand because I was working in a clinical setting and I was also working in a research setting. So I saw those gaps very clearly when I was working in those areas. And I gave myself almost 10 years because when I kind of finished working in research and I moved into industry, was still monitoring where is the trend of genomics going in terms of clinical research or in terms of medical, where is it going? So I was always monitoring that because I had a huge network of friends who were now based in different parts of the world doing extremely amazing work. And I saw that gap and I monitored it. And when I realized that, okay, I think I should do it right now because nobody else is definitely looking at this and this needs to be solved. So that's when I actually came up with my own idea. And I have put that in a bubble because ideas will come to you when you work, when you push yourself, it will come to you. But it can often be in a bubble. What that means is it's in your head that, okay, I know that there is a gap. I know that there is a problem. And I think this is how it will get solved. But it's all in your own bubble. You need to go out and figure out with the real customers or people who have that problem, that whether that problem exists or not. It's critical. I think the past 6 to 8 months, that's what I've been doing, really. going out to my potential, well, I can call them potential customers now, but back then they were just people who were facing that problem and asking them that, what is it that is your pain point? And I was honing on that. And I think it was good that I was part of a accelerator program because the facilitators, the workshops force you to think in that direction. They will constantly tell you, do not think about the solution. Do not start building products. Keep focusing on the problem. What is the problem? And once you've figured that out, there are many other things which comes up, but that is the fundamental. If you don't start at the problem statement, it can get very difficult because then you're building products and you're finding products for problems for the product and you're retrofitting. So it becomes very difficult. So idea can be in a bubble. Try to burst that bubble and figure out that whether that problem is really a problem for your customers or not. The next thing is that jigsaw image. That's very interesting. So once you have figured out, or once we figured out that there's a problem, the next thing is all the other areas which comes with a startup. And CEO, I think somebody rightly said, CEO actually stands for Chief Everything Officer. So you are doing everything. Because initially, you have this eccentric vision of changing, maybe you're revolutionizing healthcare industry or you're revolutionizing payment industry, and people will not believe you. People will ask questions. They'll punch holes in your vision, in what you're trying to do. So first is getting the clarity. And the second thing is getting people to really believe in your vision. You have to make them understand that this will work, or this, why this will work and why they should be the people who will make this work. So that's one part of the puzzle, but there are multiple other areas. So you're selling your products, you're finding the solutions, you're constantly talking to your customers, you're also trying to fundraise, maybe if you need capital from VCs, you're doing that. You're constantly networking because you have to evolve, you have to find better solutions, innovation, and then everything kind of comes back and then you again reiterate. So it's like a circle, really, it's circular, what you're doing. Unless and until you are very, very clear that there is a market for your product. So that's where you're really trying to get. And people often call it the product market fit. For some people now, that can take maybe 2 months. For some, it can take 20 months. And for some, it can take years. And it does. But this is what I tell myself, that do not get dazzled by, what other companies are doing and keep focused in what you are doing. And it can take more time or less time. I was possibly, when I did my master's, I was the last one to get a job because everybody else had plans and they had already figured out what they wanted to do. And I was still figuring out, should I go for my PhD or should I do my should I transition to industry? So I was the last person. But it's fine. And I actually moved out of Dublin to a far off county that nobody had heard of, alone. Again, no friends, nothing. But I anyway did it. So yes, take time, because taking time is, and people will say that fast iteration, fast, and that's okay. But do not lose your focus. I tell myself that I shouldn't lose focus because there is so much noise around you. And I think just from the theme perspective, entrepreneurship definitely stands on those 4 pillars, which I always constantly remind myself that it is about identifying the opportunity, which we are doing during our idea stage, then trying to figure out that how we are going to solve this problem by innovating novel solutions. So the element of innovation and creativity comes. Then the third thing would be how to build a team and demonstrate your leadership in that process, leadership or management. So building the team is very, very important. Startups don't run on a single person. And believe me, because I am a hardcore multitasker. That's what I have been. Because I don't have siblings. I'm the only child. So I used to be a hardcore multitasker. But when I started this company, I know that I can't do it all by myself. I need help. So building a team is important. And the fourth most important thing is obviously growing it, scaling it, adaptability, how quickly you can adapt to different changes which are coming up. So that's a little bit about the startup land. It's a bit like that graph that I showed, that the journey is going to be all topsy-turvy. Eventually, you keep at it, show resilience and grit, and you'll reach your destination. Or you will know that somebody else is better who is going to solve this problem. The most important thing for me when I went on to this journey is I want to solve a problem. If it's me, great. But if somebody else solves it before me, that's fine too. I'll move on to the next one. I'll move on to my next battle. That's the attitude I keep. Next. And this is really kind of what I was talking about, the why, how, and execute. Sorry about that, execute. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is these are important things which I keep asking myself time and again. The why is very important for me. But why am I solving it? Why is it me who should be solving it? That why, and when I stand in front of investors or people who are interested in these kind of startups, their first question is why. And they'll not maybe directly ask you why are you doing it, but they have different other questions. But it all leads to the why. So as long as your why is very, very strong, you should be able to continue doing it. Because success and failure are obviously the consequence, but between that journey, it is so hard to build a company, as Sir was saying, like it's not easy. And he was upfront about it, and that's great because that's the reality, and I feel it myself. It's extremely hard. So the only motivation that is going to keep you going is the why. That's what I feel. How is what we were discussing earlier, that how do you solve it? That's the second part. That how are you coming to the solution? How are you solving it? And how you're building everything around it. And then finally, execution is important. Execution is everything for that matter. And it doesn't have to be the best product, but as long as you're executing, you're learning something from it. And then you're bringing a better refined version. Next slide. So that was a little bit about, I suppose, my humble knowledge about startup, what I have learned in the last year, and my observations. But I also want to take this opportunity to talk about this amazing ecosystem that Ireland has for startups. And I do attend a lot of events from time and again, and I do come across this when Enterprise Ireland or the other major players of this ecosystem mention that Ireland is definitely at the forefront when it comes to startups and providing them the ecosystem so that they can grow and foster. So I have these three names here, but it's really to quickly kind of talk about the major players who are helping first-time founders, entrepreneurs. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, what background you have, as long as you have a great idea, they are ready to listen. So if you do have an idea and you're hovering over it, like maybe during your master's thesis, and I do come across a lot of students who haven't finished their degree, but they're sitting in those rooms and they're listening to these entrepreneurs and to these investors and these startup experts. And they're getting that knowledge. So I have to thank the embassy as well, because since I started my own company, I think the first event which I joined was the Roundtable Conference, which Sir had organized. And that was one of a kind of that, where he brought all the entrepreneurs, and not just established entrepreneurs, but also budding entrepreneurs like myself. And he brought everybody together in the room, and you're always learning. And that is my mantra, that keep learning. Wherever you are, like, keep just listening to people, keep listening to advice, keep listening to what others have to offer. And I put myself in those situations, I learn and I move. So Enterprise Ireland has fantastic programs similar to NDRC. They have amazing programs for people, for students who want to develop an idea. It's very easy to talk to them. Do not feel intimidated that, they are in dark patch or, they are high officials. We are just students. Just go up to them. LinkedIn is a very, very good resource. Reach out to them on LinkedIn, or just attend their events. They're like free events, open events. just go say hi and just say that, okay, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And I haven't found a single person who has not responded to me. They've always responded to me. And then they have their own focus. So do your own research as well. Like, Enterprise Ireland maybe has focused more in terms of international, global exports, and they want to foster that kind of companies, tech companies. And then local enterprise could be maybe if you want to do something locally, maybe for Irish market, or maybe you want to do a store or something. Leos are great. And then NDRC is also similar to Enterprise Ireland, and they run their own programs in Dog Badge, in RDI Hub. And the most important thing is all three of them are based all across Ireland. It's not that you have to be in Dublin. You can go to any of their events, whichever is hosted in that particular county, like Galway or Cork, and participate. So that is another fantastic part of this ecosystem, that you are not isolated because you are maybe based not in Dublin. It's everywhere. So I would highly encourage, if anybody is actually thinking about starting a company, or at least even understanding. A lot of students are doing their masters in entrepreneurship. And if you want ideas, if you want to work with startups, these are excellent places to be at. Next. And finally, I think I can say a little bit about what we are doing. So as Sir Murugarat sir mentioned in his introduction, my company's name is gClinics. So we are a genomics technology company. So as I was telling, from my own journey, I have figured out multiple gaps in this area. So and what I see is healthcare as an industry and genomics as an industry are two multi-billion-dollar industry evolving on their own, but pretty siloed. And when I actually studied about them and the synergy and the impact it can bring to modern healthcare, I just felt that we have to bring this up, and we have to work on something which is going to really democratize the access to these kind of genomic services. What genomics means is, I think I always start from there. So all the DNA that you have in one cell is called genomics. It's genomic. That's the genome. And the study of that genome is called genomics. So and another thing, I think maybe some of you might be thinking that, oh, I'm not working on AI, or I'm not working on blockchain. And you will hear those trends, technology trends, and I don't know if I'm going to get a job. I don't know if I'm going to do something in my life because I'm not working on this trends. So technology are enablers. I always think of it like that. I am not an AI expert. I'm a genomics expert. But if I need, and I will have an AI component to my product, so I will collaborate with AI experts. I'll bring them on. So you don't have to be an expert of everything. All you need to do is identify what you need. What are the enablers that you need to build a fantastic product, which will help you solve that problem? So ultimately, it's about the value, not about the technology trend. That's my take on this. So, so we are right now, again, very early stage, and we are kind of raising capital in order to bring the product and commercialize it. It's a deep technology product, so obviously it will take a little bit of more time. But I'm working with some fantastic people, and they are based all over the world. So my current team is not just in Ireland. I have people from America. I have experts. I'm collaborating, and I'm reaching out to my network. So my network is based all over the world. So I'm reaching out to those scientists or bioinformaticians who are doing fantastic things, and they're always ready to help. So I can say that my company is already global because it has people all over the world who are helping us build this. And yes, we are always, next slide, we're always looking for smart people and enthusiastic and passionate people to join us. So if you would like to know more about what we're doing, please talk to us. And that's my LinkedIn. I am mostly active on everything, LinkedIn, Twitter. So please feel free to reach out. And that's about it. With questions.